goes and does something new and fresh over there. Some people have asked me what percentage of people in the United Kingdom go to church. The most recent reputable survey I could find was from 2007, which states this: whilst 53% of those over 16 claim to be Christian, only 15% go to church regularly, and they define regularly by monthly. 10% go to church every week, and that's heavily biased by those who are over 50 and female, and influenced also by the Afro-Caribbean minority, where church going is much more acceptable and recognised, and also from Northern Ireland, where church going is much more of a commitment. And so to reach out to different age groups, we've found different ways of being a church shaped by grace and allowing God's love to flow out. We call them fresh expressions. I could talk of Tube Station, which is a small Methodist chapel down in Cornwall, which employs 2 ministers who are surfers. And they go out from that chapel and go out and witness and surf with the surfing community down in Cornwall in the southwest of England. I could talk about Legacy XS, which is a youth congregation based on purpose-built skateboarding centre. I could talk about The Bridge, a community church which is based in a school and in a public house. I could tell you about cafe churches, which are based in coffee bars and coffee shops. I could tell you about Messy Church, which is based on ideas similar to what you do in Vacation Bible School, for all ages together with food every month. And there are many, many more. Be warned that Tommy has seen the DVD. And Meg has read all the literature that I've got in my study bag. I'm just telling you. Okay? Different ways of being church, different ways of reaching out with expressions of God's love, different ways of telling the Jesus story, and most importantly, different ways of creating safe spaces so that people can tell their stories. Churches shaped by grace should be attractive communities where people want to stay because of what they find. They're like insects finding pollen in flowers. People who come want to come back because they're nourished in mind, body and soul. Churches shaped by grace are shaped by an awareness of the love of God in individual lives, not reflected in some frothy, shallow sentimentality or biblical one-liners or platitudes, but reflected in the deep pools of pain or grief or hardship, where the muddy waters have been cleared and cleaned by the love and compassion expressed through those who have known God's love in their lives and come through those hard times. Paul says, be happy with those who are happy and weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with each other. Churches shaped by grace are shaped by living in the tension of the worship of God, the need to love and care for those inside and those outside the church community, the balance between the need to care for the resources that we have and the need to make disciples. Churches shaped by grace are those which respond to the divine niggle in our souls that we need to be prophetic. Not in the sense of foretelling, but in the sense of forth-telling, challenging and changing the society around us. Churches shaped by grace are those who recognise that God is on the move. Even though that may be difficult to see at times. We belong to a worldwide church of Methodists, which is growing. In the UK, in the United States, in Bolivia, all across the world, we belong to a growing worldwide Methodist church, and we are part of a bigger Christian church throughout the world, which is growing and moving and loving, even in the most difficult of places. So here, on my last Sunday with you, is my challenge to you. Be bold. Be brave. Be prepared to take risks for the gospel. Be prepared to fail for the gospel. Continue to care for the poor not only of this place but of the world to become statewide and nationwide leaders in how you recycle, how you use alternative forms of energy. From across the other side of the pond, I want to hear Redbank United Methodist Church is the world leader in how to recycle. No challenge there for you at all. And I want to challenge you to be prepared to change or engage with the experiential and experimental stuff, and offer an experience of God in worship and in love to the missing generation that you may not think you have, but I think you have, whilst you still have the resources to do so. As Methodists the world over, we owe much to our founding father, John Wesley, who talked about the grace of God freely given. The grace of God that draws us to God's self even before we know it. The grace of God which is sufficient even in the dark times, and the grace of God that allows us to walk with God on the journey of faith, shaping us and moulding us to be more like Christ. And if that's true for us as individuals, then it is also true for us as churches, wherever we are, whatever God calls us to do. I have thanked God in these last few weeks that you are a church shaped by grace. Thank you for the love that you have extended to Mary and myself in our short time here. We will remember you in our prayers. Some of your love will go with us. Please pray for us. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.